Hello, IDS here with another ranking video. I guess I'm just gonna crank out as many of these as you guys care to hear. Again, I have a few other long, rambly, nerdy Bionicle videos that I'd like to put out, but the visual of the ranking list here helps me feel like I'm not just throwing a giant video at you rambling about shit. Please in the comments let me know if I put a long video talking about a topic and it was literally just a still frame or just B-roll footage. Would that bother you? Would you watch that? Okay. Sorry if there's a noise in the background as well. I'm cat sitting and there's a cat going a bit crazy. So, the Toa Metru. The first Toa team that we got that weren't from the classic era. This was a bit of a mind blow. Wait a minute, there were Toa before the Toa Mata, at that time just the Toa. That's kind of nuts. Who knew? And it kind of sort of changed the game and re-established everything within Bionicle. I'd say this is the start of the second era. We talked in the previous video about how 2006 was like the turning point between old and new Bionicle. This was the first real turning point. We went from limbs being composite pieces, somewhat ushered in by the Rakshi, but this sort of established it. We had the color swap as Lego purged their old colors and, started a new catalog of colors. The Metru colors, while may have started a little bit before, are now the default Bionicle colors. Brown has been changed. The grays have been updated. This was also a major turning point where Lego started color locking pins. Now, the tan pins, and I believe perhaps the blue pins came out the year before, but I think 2004 is the first year where it started feeling very obvious. Yeah, lots of changes here. This almost feels like a new building style compared to the previous wave of Toa. I know some people kind of jumped off of Bionicle at this point, mainly because of the drastic change. It did feel like a little bit of a system change where, before limb pieces were just ball to ball, the bend is designed within the piece, while now we're getting composite limbs and essentially fully articulated Toa here, which was a big step up. Now the shoulders on the Metru are a bit controversial, I guess. Controversial, they're just a bit limited. Yeah, fantastic, we've kept the gear function here, but arguably it is a step down from what we had with the nuva. With the nuva, you had the ability to lock the gears and then pose the arms independently. Unfortunately, with the Metru, due to the fact that the gearbox is connected directly to the shoulder and not at a ball joint, they're hindered by them. So, fantastic for play. Display and posing, they are a little bit limited. Unfortunately, considering, again, these are the most posable Toa we have to date. But, there's been innovation since to fix that. If you do want to fix your Metru, there are third-party pieces that work for that. There's the classic posability trick that was used in Canister Wasteland and other mockers have done. So, again, that's no credit to the Metru. That's the credit to the mocking community. But there are ways to fix your Metru. All that to say, there's a pretty handsome team here. The Metru are almost entirely a brand new library of parts. Down to every single segment. I think beyond the Bionicle hand pieces, these guys are almost completely brand new, which was fantastic. I think even compared to the Mata, there's more original pieces here. I think with the Mata we reused a lot of slicer elements. Obviously the Bionicle quote-unquote hand is a slicer remnant. The Mata introduced new limbs, but they still reused slicer limbs. These guys, all the limbs are brand new. All the armor is brand new. Feet are brand new. Head is brand new. They're all recolored as well, considering the dark gray has been updated. So these guys were pretty revolutionary at the time. And love it or hate them, they are pretty. You stand them straight, they're pretty handsome. They're pretty great looking sets. They kind of have the Metroid shoulders. And yeah, they're just pretty cool looking. Now, it's I was not a big fan of the desaturation in color. Now, I imagine with the budget of such a grand amount of new parts, they decided we're going to just pull back on the colors here, because they all use dark gray as a secondary color. Technically, the Rakshi started this as well, but again, the Rakshi at the time were new. and seeing such a monochromatic, well, not monochromatic, but the two-tone color scheme that they had was new at the time. What we then didn't know was for the subsequent next 3 waves until the Vizrak, we would get bombarded with dark grey as a second color, to the point where even later on it came back for 2008. And honestly, sets such as Radak, like when dark grey would pop up in a year full of colors, it would feel a little bit like, ugh, dark grey again, haven't we had enough of this? So, you know, they ran that into the ground, and I think I'm not even opposed to these new darker colors. They are pretty cool. I actually think the dark colors help these feel a little less toyish. I know they're toys, but it hinders their resemblance to their previous forms. Similar to the Anika and Mari videos, I'm going to factor in how these guys, I feel, represent their characters as well. But to be honest, and this is a story thing and actually a prequel thing in general, in fiction, I don't necessarily think the Toa personalities necessarily map that well onto the Turaga. Like, considering how wise Vakama is, there was not enough of Vakama's growth to make him that wise sage that seems to know everything. He had took a pretty quick turn from being insecure, I don't know anything, everyone bullying me, to everyone respects me and I'm so wise, and I'm wise beyond my years. And similar to the other Toa, you know, as a Turaga, Onua is seen as, he's the judge, he's so fair, he's so balanced. As a Toa, he's an asshole. I love that. I love Onua being an asshole, but like, they're basically different characters. Now, I know we all settle over the years, but this is where some of my beef with timelines that Greg set within the canon that don't seem to make sense for kind of character behavior, character growth, character development. But again, that's a little bit of a issue whenever you do prequel stories. I'm going on a crazy tangent here. Again, this is just rambly nerd talk at the end of the day. So let's get to ranking these sets. Pardon me, coughing. So who is my least favorite Toa Metru set? Well, I just gushed about how I loved him as a character, as a Toa, but Onua is my least favorite. Ooh, that's not what I wanted to move. Give me a sec, technical issues. Yeah, of the Toa Metru sets, Onua is my least favorite, which is interesting because, again, as someone who loves the stone sets, and I love Onua's character, this might be my only Toa wave where he is squarely at the bottom. There are other competitors, I guess, but still, yeah, not a big fan of the set. And actually, I think there's a few factors that play into that, and again, some of that comes to character representation. So let's pull up a picture of this dude. Yeah, okay, here we go. Here's a set. First things first, it was very interesting to get a new shade of brown. Not against that. Again, all of these guys had new colors, bar Nuju and Wenua. But yeah, it's cool. It's a nice brown. I like new color parts. I do like more variety. I like the fact that, you know, they brighten him up a bit. It's just that's not my issue with him. He has the most prototypical build of the kind of the clones. You've got Onua, you've got Matau, and you've got Vakama, who both have the mid-length torso, neck, and the lower, though less posable position. For me, it comes down to, I guess, 3 major things, because again, there's not that much that sets the Toa Metru apart. One are his weapons. I like the top here. I like this pickaxe hooked look to it. That element is really cool. And in fact, if this piece was just this with an axle at the bottom, really great. And, you know, Lego wasn't giving us that much variation in sets at this point, so I don't think we would have got a staff or like a piece made of multiple pieces. But if this came later and they created this as like a pickaxe head with a Technic axle connected to it, this piece would be much better. But it's this bit. It's I guess the neck of it. Not a big fan. It's really weak and floppy. And I know that kind of plays into how he's interpreted using these weapons and some of the animations and stuff, but it tends to warp over time. Not a big fan of the look of it. The segments, they almost look like they're supposed to be like chains, so are these supposed to be loose, but they're like, the set is like a snapshot of them in motion? I don't know. Not a big fan of that. The weapon, to be honest. It's probably my least favorite. despite the head being so cool. I mean, even looking at it now, I'm so used to not really liking these pieces that much that now looking at the top, I'm like, these are pretty cool. Heads here. Just wish they they were just that, even if you had them as little boomerangs. That would have been better. Next is the eye color. With the Metru, we had a reshop for the eye colors. The only eye colors that carried over from the Mata were the neon green eyes that Liwa had and Vakama has now. You've got the dark orange, which Pohatu had and now Noama has, as well as the dark green, which Onua and Wenua had. Now, with the dark green trans colors, Onua included, they don't have as much light piping as some of the other colors, and it's completely dependent on the piece as well. We've seen with G2 that even the good colors for light piping can be botched. And you can see some variation in the Mata heads as well. You get a really clean one, and the light piping on the dark green is fantastic. Get another one that looks a little bit cloudy. Even in this photo on the dark blue on Onua, it's a bit cloudy. So with the new one, so we've got... Unfortunately, we lost my favorite Bionicle eye color, which was Ghali's yellow-orange. That's my favorite Bionicle eye color. I hate the fact that we kind of lost that after 2002. That's a massive shame. But basically, in essence, to give us new eye colors, they gave us dark red. They gave us dark red, dark blue, and then they gave us a brighter, the trans blue that actually most Bionicle sets use. Kopaka's original blue eye color was the ice blue, essentially like what Motoro uses, while going forward the trans blue that like the Borok had and stuff are the ones that as the eye color that Nuju has, which is great. That's actually a nicer color. I like having both because, you know, different, more piece variety the better, but I actually do really like the new bright blue. The dark blue unfortunately has perhaps the worst light piping of all of these. Like, this is a favorable shot. Most angles when you have Onua built and Akma built, you can barely see the eyes. Like, it's the worst light piping of any of the colors in G1, I think, when it came to eye color. And you know, when you look at him ooh, that's not that one either. Do I have the picture that I wanted? Yes, when you see him in production shots and stuff, that's not dark blue. That is very clearly probably closer to Kopaka blue, and he looks great. Like, I really like the blue eyes. I have no issue with him having blue eyes, but yeah, just in the set, the actual dark blue is not really great to me. Not a big fan of that, to be honest. Which is a shame. Again, I'm all for getting variety in the colors, but it just so happens he's the worst with it. And my third issue here is actually the mask. Like, I know what they're going for with this mask, right? I get it. I just think it looks really meek. The character imbued here just seems so nondescript. I get nothing from this head. It's really for such an asshole character, it doesn't reflect that. In the same way that the how is quite nondescript and can apply to a lot of characters, I get a lot of Tahu's personality from that mask. I don't get that from Onua. It has some, I guess, howish qualities even. It even has the stripes here, has this. I like it in concept. I just don't think it suits the character. And also the open eye thing. I actually kind of like how it looks in the comics. I get that, you know, there's a future soldier of this unitary visor thing. I like that. I don't know how you would achieve that unless you had like one of the fishbowl kind of visor things that the 2007 that was ushered into 2007 and 2008. That could have worked, or something like that, or some sort of trans insert to make it almost like Noama. But as is in the set, it's really gappy. You just kind of look right through his skull. And yeah, just not the greatest fan of this mask in general. Again, I personally love the movie version, which took a massive departure. It kind of dropped that unitary visor thing, gave him separate eyes, made the tops of these eyebrows like really posable, and made his whole head look almost like a pair of like massive binoculars. I really dig the movie version. And this is the crazy thing. Well, it's not crazy, but his movie version, for me, is miles above the set. The pickaxe is one giant pickaxe. Love that. That's a great direction. The way they've included the dark tan in here to his color scheme really makes him pop. The way the face looks and the way conveys his character, as it, obviously we can't really tell that much from a still image, but the way it's animated and the way it moves, like, this feels much better to me. I much prefer the movie version here to the set. The set is just so, it's just so nondescript. Again, it's a cool mask. Again, not every mask is the top of the pile, but I think it does disservice to this character, and I feel like this build to me is just the most boring overall. So those are the key issues I have with it. Interestingly as well, I know we don't really get that much design continuity between iterations in Bionicle G1, with probably the HOW and the Evoki being basically the only exceptions. And the Vakama got some probably by accident. But a lot of the masks here, there'll be at least one element they have in common. So I'll probably just defer back to this grid for the Turaga mask to see, oh, what did carry over? The Komao has nothing. There is not a single element in this mask that matches up with this. Not even a single. Even at a stretch, I can't see anything. It's just this one, they were like, well, I don't know what to do. Fuck it. We're not even going to bother. Also, that's the first time I've noticed that's a Mata head, Metru foot. Wow. Metru foot. Metru thigh armor? What the hell? This is the first time I'm looking at this properly. That's like maybe a Burok shield? Wow, okay. Sorry, I'm getting distracted. I've never bothered properly looking in the background of this picture. That's really cool. What was I saying? I can't remember what I was saying. Yeah, there's nothing carried over from the Turaga Komao in this design. At all. Interestingly, there is this like circle emblem on both the Komao, the Huna, and the Matatu. Not the Matatu, the Mahiki. It's almost like I don't quite get. Well, I don't get. It's just a neat design. This is a round emblem, and it's funny because those three combine together, so it's almost like this shared design element. So he has continuity with the other Metru masks, just not with his Turaga form. And you know, being the tallest Turaga as well, it's a shame that they gave him the medium build. You know, it would have been great to have him with the longer torso version, and also the upright neck. Now the upright neck, I know some people build them, the lower neck versions with the upright neck, because it gives them more posability, and B, it just makes them taller. But it's clear the reason why certain characters have the higher neck, because they have the bigger masks. If you put this head on the higher neck iteration, it looks weird as hell. It just looks awkward. So there's a reason for it. So that's another miss this set has. Like, they had an opportunity where they've got a build with adjustable heights here, and they didn't reflect the Turaga heights, which is a shame. But all that to say, Honor falls into my last position here. Who falls into number 5? That would be... Now, okay, just before I jump into number 5, these are pretty close. I think, especially as we go off from the list, these become very difficult for me to place. I'm very much splitting hairs, and I think it's another one where, like, given the day, given the mood, I might prefer a different one. But, okay, number 5 for me is Noama. Shrink. Yeah, Noama is my least favorite. And, you know what, in a similar vein to Onua, I think part of it is the floppy weapon. Again, I like the head of this. I think this sort of makes more sense to me in terms of like these being floppy. I see her in the movie and stuff. She's spinning them around. They're kind of abstract, so the weirdness kind of works. Again, the head design is really cool. I'm actually taking note of the 3 connection points. It's sort of an underutilized piece. Again, I just feel like it's hindered by the wiggliness of it. It's cool that it's got, you know, she's got the extra pins to hold them like this. This is again another one where it's like a snapshot of movement. Really, they should be not suspended in air like that, but it is what it is. Really like the dark blue. Dark blue is nice. Really like that Harley ushered that in. She has one of the taller builds. Which again, she's a female. Is that correct for it? I don't know, but being one of the bigger masks, she requires the taller neck connection. I think everyone with the taller neck, they gave the taller hip orientation, which is fine. It would be interesting if one of them didn't. That way you've even got even more variety, but is what it is. So why is she lower down on the list? Well, to be honest, again, weapons are meh. There's not that much to differentiate these guys again. And also the mask. So I actually really like this mask. It is really cool. Really like the design. Really like the elements. Yeah, it's just a cool mask. I actually prefer the set version to the movie version. I think the movie version, I put it in my ranking videos, looks like a little bit like an alien, like a Roswell Grey. I prefer the set version. Tiny nitpick, I guess, is I wish these little segments were a little bit less frosted. But for me, she doesn't pull off the trans mask as better than Gali. Like, Gali did a better job with the trans mask, in my opinion. I think with Gali, if you really look at the trans colors, it's almost funny that this almost ends up closer to standard Lego Marder blue, while the cow ends up looking probably closer to dark blue. Because of that, she almost looks like she's like a lollipop head. She's like Pops. She's got this big round, off-colored head with that not reflected anywhere. While that didn't look as jarring as Gali. Like, again, while it is a little bit darker than Marder blue, the cow sort of fits that. It's not so color disparate that it stands out, while with Vakama it is really stand out. In fact, it's more stand out than it really does reflect in this picture. And I'm not necessarily opposed to that, but I feel like it's a little jarring. But yeah, I also think, again, I wish she'd kept the bluer, sorry, not the bluer, the more yellow orange eyes. Because I love that color. Love to have got Metru eye stalks in that color. But also it would cut through the transness of the mask. Like, again, going back to the cow, the yellow eyes really worked because it kind of penetrated the blue. You could see it through the trans lenses. Depending on how frosty you have the mask, the dark orange doesn't show through that well on this mask, which is a shame. I think one of the lighter colors probably would have worked better on this. And looking to how does she match up to her Turaga mask? There's no specific design element that she has that the Noble Rao has. However, given the round face and the mouthpiece, I think just through general shape and vibe, sorry, I keep going back to Noama. Through the general shape and vibe, I can see this as a mask that is that same mask. It's probably, without having a specific design element, the one mask that I can buy. Okay, these could be the same mask. So yeah, so she gets points for that. So don't really have much else to say. It's mainly just the mask standing out, and again, not great weapons in my opinion. Okay, in fourth place, I'm going to put Wenua. Shrink. I really like Wenua as a set. He's cool. He's the only one that is... Sorry, I am going to start closing these so I stop opening the other ones. He is really cool. He's the only one who's short. And it's funny because, actually, I didn't really touch on it on the Vakama piece, but the Metru arms are interesting. They are a little short for what human proportion should be, which is funny because with the Anika onwards, the arms got too long. But the Metru arms are a little bit short. Great. I closed the pictures I could show when I actually needed them. So with the Toa, Vakama, and Nuju sets, the arms are actually too short. When you increase the length of the hips, where the hand placement goes is a little too high, and it makes them look like they have little stumpy arms. Proportionally, actually, the Toa that has the best arm length, which unfortunately, again, the picture I'm using from Wenua has his arms in the air, so you can't really see it, but because he has the shortest, most compact torso here, he has the best proportioned arms, actually. So that's a plus. It's interesting as well, because despite the fact that dark grey updated in color, it's still representing the same color. Wenua maintains the exact color scheme of Wenua. Primary black, secondary dark grey, dark green eyes. It's very interesting, and it also, in a sense, makes him match up with his Turaga form the most as well, which is cool. Just again, a little bit of a tidbit. And then obviously with his Hordika form, he also has the dark grey, the black, and the dark green eyes. He's like the only character that maintained his color scheme throughout all of his forms. For those who dislike the gap, so that, again, with the Metru, I don't have a good picture. Why I'm talking about Metru build stuff when I don't have them up. Most of the Metru builds have a gap here. I don't mind that. It's weird, but it's, again, they're the bionicle robot stuff. I think until we get to 2006, where we've sort of been like, these are humanoid type Toa builds, I think there was still an element where some of these abstract weirdness things almost were a part of the charm. But if that gap bothers people, especially, and I think it's worse on on Vakama and Nuju, I actually tend to, when I build them, shorten them a bit because the gap does get a little bit long. If you don't like that gap, Wenua's your guy. He doesn't have it. His torso sits all the way up, so he has a little round, little bean torso. But yeah, I don't know. That makes him unique, makes him short. He doesn't really need a hunch. Again, the mid-sized torso guys all sort of have the neck in a hunched position. Watch them. I really like the Ruru. That's a really cool mask design. Love it. I love how it's portrayed in the movie. The movie reduces the amount of forehead bumps, but it's still pretty evocative of the mask. I'd argue from movie to set, Wenua's has the closest resemblance, just in terms of the way it looks. I also think, weirdly, and I don't know if this is just a weird observation, but I've always felt like the Wenua 2016 mask has Wenua elements to it as well. It almost feels like I could see this as Wenua more than Onua. The 2016, not the 2015, if I said that. Wenua carries on the tradition of the Tour of Earth and Stone characters having something a little bit different, which Onua didn't have, which is this extra piece addition here included to give this option. As a kid, I didn't actually own this set, so I didn't even know this existed. It wasn't shown in a lot of the media, and even in the animation, when he does this formation to create the drill, this piece just isn't there. So actually, I didn't even realize he had this until years later. But yeah, he's really cool. It's a super clean color scheme. He doesn't feel desaturated because this was the default Earth color scheme. But yeah, don't really have that much more to say about him. The only reason he's this low is just because the next three are really hard for me to place. So Wenua was great, cool set, cool build. Getting all of these pieces in black means, they're arguably the most usable in mocks. He's just neat. Nothing else really to say. Oh, I guess I'll touch on his weapons. I like the weapons. I like the fact that it can be used in combination. Weapons that can be like merged together are always great. Lee Khan's board, Tahu's swords, Puerto Nuva's Kodan ball. These, like, any weapons that have any sort of tessellation to them is really cool. And I think going back to Onua G2, definitely his G2 2015 weapons are clearly inspired by these pieces. They're more, again, maybe Onua had weird Wenua elements, I guess, because that's another sort of Wenua type thing. But yeah, so that's why he sits there. Now, this is another one where I'm like, okay, I'm going to struggle to rank these guys, because setting this up, I'm like, I actually don't know who my favorite is. I know these three are the bottom three for me, but these three, I really don't know. Oh, actually, one sec, sorry. I'm going to jump back before I make a decision. I forgot to mention something about Wenua. I was doing a comparison between all their noble masks. The Ruru. What is the through line design that they have? This cheek bit. They both have cheek stuff going on. That's my stretch of trying to link them. In my head, when this mask became the noble mask, these cheek protrusions recessed into the face and became these. I know, massive, massive, massive stretch, and I'm shooting Wenua bail that he probably doesn't deserve, but that's what I've always seen as the one thing that unites these masks, is this cheek thingamajig. Massive stretch, I know, but you know what, it is. I gotta find something if I can find something. Now, okay, so these remaining three Toa, Nuju, Vakama, and Matau, they are all really damn cool. All three of them have fantastic weapons. All three of them have fantastic masks. They're all just, yeah, I mean, I'm really going to be splitting hairs here, because I think on any given day, I'm not sure which one I can say is my favorite. So I might have to actually start implementing. I'm going to go through the subjective things with these sets first, and then I'm going to look at objective knocks against them, because I think that's the only way I can really decide between these three, because I love them all for different reasons. So, again, let me just cover my opinions on their sets, and then I'll try and detract from them. And also, actually, sorry, I keep jumping back. So I've got a few more. I've got 2 more negatives for my bottom guys on the list here. These 4 Toa, Matau, Vakama, well, actually no, sorry, Matau, Nuju, Wenua, their dual weapon functions are actually dual weapon functions. Matau gets wings, Nuju gets snowshoes, Wenua's weapons merge. These guys, their dual function is back storage. Back storage is cool. It's handy. It's also actually something I really would try and mod on my Nuva back in the day, but that's not really a dual function. It's nice to have. It's a nice to have, but these weapons are also hindered by the fact that, you know, they don't do anything else while the others do. Vakama's is interesting because it is back storage, but his back storage adds to his look. You either have the jetpack that he has, which is a bit of a ridiculous thing, but it looks really badass on his back and kind of gives him this mane, like you get this dark red halo behind his head when he has it on his back. So while Vakama has back storage as well, his back storage almost gives this set a different look. It gives him this kind of, again, he has this mane behind him, these flames coming behind him, the red halo of the trans-red disc. It really gives him a elevated look, while these guys just have functional storage. So that's another reason why these guys sit at the bottom. But sorry, back to what I was saying. Yeah, things about these sets. Well, let's run through them, and then I guess we'll just have to detract from where we detract on some objective points. So go away, Wenua. Nuju is really cool. Nuju is awesome. Again, it's not much to say about his build because they are just so similar. He has the tallest iteration, having a tall mask and the tall hip orientation. Just looks super clean. I think white and grey, regardless if it's light or dark grey, helps create a monochromatic look to him. It almost feels like the sinew between just pure white armor, which is neat. His weapons are super cool looking, really brutal looking, to be honest. You really wouldn't want to be caught by one of these, but the real icy tool, you know, really element specific. You'd see someone climbing a mountain with these, or, you know, they attach to his feet as like climbing cleats, which is a really great dual function. That's a proper dual function. I think both Nuju and Mata really excel in their dual function. They feel right at home with the Nuva in terms of quality of dual function. His mask is also super cool. It's really cold and calculating. I think while having the really narrow slit eye and the scope really gives him almost like I'm a robot, I'm mechanical, I have no emotion, which makes him a poor fit for his character, because his character in the movie was a bit of a nervous wreck. Like, he was a self-doubting, nerdy character who was like, oh, I don't. And you know what? He's really only out-bitched by Vakama in the movie. He's also a mega bitch. So, interesting, because the set makes me think he's like a cold, methodical, like almost like he would just be operating off pure logic or something. Comparing him to his Truaga form, the only thing you really have in common is from the front they are kind of boxing masks, but he has these 2 notches here, right? 2 notches here. It's almost like if his Toa mask was unscoped, he would have these 2 here. So it's just these forehead holes are the only things he has in common. Obviously a bit of a interesting choice to give him a scope when he never had a scope, which is funny because Matoran had the kind of inverse of that. Clearly, obviously, they wanted to keep on the quote-unquote Kopaka tradition, where it's like the ice guy always has a scope, which is fine, it looks cool. I also like the fact that they gave him a hole versus the solid molding of the Akaku. That was definitely an improvement. It is a hole that doesn't actually allow anything to be plugged into it. Which is, I don't know, it's I guess a missed opportunity. I think they rectified that with the Fantoka, and even 2016 Kopaka's mask, as ugly as it is, does allow you to, you know, put studs in there. But, you know, from certain angles you can get the blue of the eyes poking through, which looks cool, though technically in the movie the scope should be a red eye. But yeah, I'm not sure I have much else to say. That's that's my opinion on Nuju. It just looks really cool. What are the negatives of Nuju, I guess? He has well, this is a positive, not a negative, but he has the more posable build with the neck upright, which is a pop plus for him. The knock against him is, again, he has the longer, the lower hip orientation, which means this gap is really long, which is a bit jarring to the eyes. Again, typically when I build these guys now for my own looks, I tend to not use this longer iteration. If I remember correctly, he is one of the taller Toa, so it's cool that he does have the taller build. But you know, we look at Onua and we can clearly see that's coincidence versus anything intentional. But again, as mentioned before, because he has the lower hips, it does mean that he has stubby arms. His arms are too short for his body, which is a knock against him. Okay, I guess next is Vakama. Vakama is like the Motoro Inaika of this wave, where his set is so damn badass. It doesn't match his character as portrayed in the movie. There's a reason why his movie mask looks very different, because that one is clearly built around what this character is. Vakama's set is just another like aura farming, super dope, really cool looking Toa. There's just something about the domed head matches the shoulders. This just has such a clean, unified look to it. It really kind of has a Samus look. Just, again, big round shoulders, big head, domed head. There's just a really nice, cohesive look here. The weapon being a single-hand weapon is cool, sets him apart. It's so funny because this weapon looks so oversized and kind of badass, and I like the fact that he can dual wield it. And the fact that he came with a trans-red disc as the only Toa disc we got as a set. But it's funny because in story, the other Toa bully him for using a Matoran weapon, which is pretty funny, considering how. And then again, this is this distinction from how he's portrayed in the movie and in canon to how this set looks. Like, you could never tell me that this guy is a meek, borderline incel dude getting bullied by the rest of his team. This set just conveys like aura farming. It just looks super cool. He has a shorter neck iteration. He has the bold choice of giving the fire Toa green eyes. Now, green eyes become old hat later on just because they start spanning them for everything, but it was a unique shift here. That was cool. It's funny because in the comics, they give him somewhat like an Onua single visor eye, and it's blue. I've never seen any prototypes with him with blue eyes. I actually really like fire characters with blue eyes. The Borok had them. Tahu G2, one of the best things they did for him was giving him blue eyes. I really like that look. But the green works really well as well. It's funny, I mentioned this before, but it's always obvious with Vakama. This 2004 was the first year they started really started color locking pins, and in all the lineup photos, they would Photoshop them to be black. Again, Lego wasn't beyond being ashamed of their gross choices and just hiding it in the CG, so that was an example of that. But yeah, again, not much to say with this guy. I should have had a picture up ready to show with the disc launcher in its jetpack form, but it's a cool dual function. It looks pretty neat, and I guess for the jetpack form you would have the disc pointing down. I like this on his back with it pointing up. He kind of again has these weird like he gets a dark red halo and these winged looks, and it just looks cool, and that's what he has in his Toa animation. So yeah, those are the positives for Vakama. What are the negatives of Vakama? Again, I guess the disc launcher is a matter of taste. He is the first Toa to have a launcher actually built into the set. But yeah, that's a matter of taste. If you like the single weapon versus the dual weapons that the other guys have, it's sort of then also because he has single weapons, his gear function is a little bit not redundant, but and this is another knock that they have against the nuva and the Mada. The nuva and the Mada would give dual gear functions where relevant and lock one arm if not. Now, we saw the Haga kind of improve on that, where they used the Technic pin in one side so both arms didn't move. Vakama doesn't necessarily really need both gears for his build. I think Vakama may have benefited actually with having what the Haga did, where one arm is driven by a gear, one arm isn't. Because it's not really relevant for his fight style, because he doesn't have dual weapons. Another thing as well, even though of course it's intentional because his mask works with the lower neck iteration versus the taller one that Nuju has. He does have slightly less posability because of that, since we're grasping for straws for negatives here. So I guess that's Vakama as a sum up. Now Matau. Matau is another one which I just think he looks really damn cool. I don't know why I picked this picture. This isn't a great picture of this set. Do I have another picture? This is just him. Again, not... Oh, actually, sorry. I keep jumping back and forth. Sorry about that. I forgot to finish my thing. Vakama. What does Vakama have in common with his Turaga mask? The eyes. He has the unitary merged eyes. That's it. It's very interesting that they didn't give him anything like the trunk, I guess, because that's like the defining characteristic of this mask, but missed opportunity there. But still, Vakama looks badass. He has the resemblance. He has the matching emblem on his cheeks to Onowa's head and Matau's ears. But yeah, sorry, I'm clearly a scatterbrain. These are just really rambly, unorganized videos. Anyway, back to Matau. Matau, again, really cool, really clean. I just really like the look. I adore these wing pieces. They are so clean looking and great while not being super over the top, meaning they are very versatile. There are certain weapons that are so specific that you can't use them again. These are really cool and really versatile. It was great seeing Extra Force use these as scissors. You see them utilized in a lot of the vehicles in 2008. It's a fantastic piece. I think, pound for pound, this might be my favorite Metru weapon. Like, Nuju's is really cool and badass, but again, because it's so over the top, it's not that usable. This weapon is great, and I like how almost like straight from one end it is. I think one of the Baki starts has that as well. It's kind of geometrically pleasing, and again, that might feel like a little bit out of place, but it feels unique. It stands out. One weird little nitpick I have is and I don't think it would make the weapon look better if they did it, is because the pin is so close to the edge of the blade, you can't have characters hold it with the side of their hand. In my view, I think it would look cooler to have this piece wielded by the side of the hand, because it almost looks more... Again, it's an abstract piece, the bionicle hand, but from the side it almost feels more like they're holding onto it. But again, I don't think that would make this piece look better. I think it would actually be a bit of a downgrade visually. He uses the median build. He's got the medium hip placement, the lower neck placement, which means he has slightly less neck articulation, but again, that's in service of the mask. I really like this mask look. He really looks like the Rocketeer. Even in his pose, he looks like the Rocketeer. The wings here are really cool. I think this is a great improvement of Liwa Nuva's quote-unquote wings, where, speaking of dual functions, Liwa Nuva doesn't have a dual function. I think people kind of just forget that. His dual function is he tucks his swords into his armpits and glides. Like, that's not a dual function. He's just posed the swords differently. And it's so funny, and LEGO knew he didn't have a dual function, because if you actually look on Liwa's canister, the dual function bit where they show it for the rest of them just show him holding both of the swords in his hand, like he's got one giant blade, and that is literally never used in the story. It's never used in any of the canon. I don't think he's ever wielded both katanas in one hand. But yeah, this is a great improvement on that. This is a fantastic wing look. It looks so clean. Yeah, that's really all I gotta say. What's the negatives with Matau, I guess? Negatives would be he has dark red eyes. I think they look cool here. They look better than the dark blue, but they are worse in color piping than Nuju's brilliant blue and Vakama's neon green. It just ends up with a darker look. And considering that the Metru colors are really dark, like Metru green is one of the darkest, it feels like. It doesn't help the dark eyes in a lot of poses. Again, this is a picture taken by LEGO with like ideal lighting. And then I guess with the lower neck position, he has reduced neck articulation. I also think, while this is dark, I think Metru green and gray, it's a little bit more of a boring color scheme. It's another mask where, as well, the movie did a lot with it. Now, I don't know which I prefer. The movie mask is great, and I like the fact that they added flares of color, like the yellow fin and things like that. But it's one of those ones where I think I can go either way, which one I prefer. But yeah, again, there's not so much to say here. So let me stop waffling. Comparing it to his model mask, there's really not that much in common. They have the ears. They at least have the ears in common. But, you know, considering how defined the fact that the Turaga one has a nose and all these technological things, you would think they would incorporate some of that into this design, but it's not there. Giving the set a nose would be disgusting. Like his Turaga mask is the worst in my opinion of the original, so I'm not too heartbroken that they decided to deviate from that. But he does have his ears in common, like these round ears. Both of these pictures don't really show those. But yeah, I guess back to the list now. So I've kind of laid out where these three go and how similar I feel about them. So to be honest, I don't actually have a favorite Metru here, so I'm gonna just try and be objective. So if you want the IDS official ranking, I guess you've got Nuju, Vakama, and Matau in third place jointly. But let's go down, I guess, some of the objective stuff. I think probably with Nuju, given the fact that he has the weird stumpy arms, the stumpy arm thing, and the longer torso, which has a bigger gap, his build does look weirder from some angles. I'm going to put him in third. I think just, again, these two have hindered neck articulation, but they do look better for it. And I'd argue these masks are more interesting than the Matatu. I love the Matatu, but these guys have more interesting masks. So, begrudgingly, I put Nuju in 3. Yeah, I mean, again, it feels wrong, because this is a very cool set, but I think he goes in 3. Now it goes between these two, which is funny because I'd argue like these two are the Toa that got the most shine in the movies. I think Matau goes into number 2. I don't want to. Again, this is difficult because it's not like oh yeah, definitely number 2. The light piping of the dark red eyes is not the best. Maybe he would have been better with orange eyes. But yeah, the dark red piping is not the best. I think the dark green color scheme is more dull than Mada red. Sorry, than Metru red. Have I been saying Mada instead of Metru this whole time? I don't know. Metru green is duller than Metru red, so it's a little bit less visually interesting. Inject some of those movie colors in, get some of that yellow fin in there, and get the some of those sand greens in there. Maybe it's a different story, but yeah. And then I guess Vakama is the best. Again, he doesn't have light piping issues. His arms aren't super stubby. He has a little bit of a hindered neck articulation, but it's in service of looks. I'm very much a looks over everything type person. Like, you can be unique, you can have all these functions, you can have this, that, and the other. If the final set looks like shit, it looks like shit. This is a problem I have with a lot of G2 sets. People are like, oh, they're super sturdy and well built and blah, 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 blah. Does it look good? No, it's shit. It's just the way it is. At the end of the day, if I wanted to build something with plenty of articulation and functions and stability, I can do that for sure. And all that stuff is super important. But final product is really the most important thing in my opinion. And I think Vakama just edges it out. He has good looking eyes. He, I think, has the most cohesive looking, I guess, bust. Again, the head and the shoulders really feel like a matching pair. The Metru red pops. He has one of the best, I guess, links to his Turaga form. I think the eye shape being similar creates the biggest link compared to some of the other guys, but it's a little bit of a stretch. The weapon is super cool. I think the weapon will probably make or break the set for you. He has an additional play function because he has a launcher. His dual function, while isn't as cool as Matau or Nuju's, I think is cool and creates a different look for the character. The fact that we got one of the Toa discs, which was super pivotal in 2004 in this set, is great. I don't know why the Kanoko packs didn't, like, there should have been, the Metru discs should have been options of the Kanoko packs, where, yeah, maybe they were the rare ones to find, you know, you get the other Kanoko, and then if you're lucky, you get a Toa disc as well. Really weird that they didn't produce any of the other ones. I feel like if it was later on in LEGO's production, like if 2004 was in 2025, we'd probably have got those discs, because there were so many early on collectibles in Bionicle that were story significant that LEGO never made, but for a theme like Ninjago, they probably would produce them. Like, I think to stuff like the Keystones in 2008 as well, kind of a pivotal piece of the lore seen in the visual media. Why did we not get those? Like, each Mystica could have had a little Codex piece. Sorry, I'm going off a complete tangent. Regardless, you get the Toa disc collectible. You get an additional play feature. The set just looks pretty badass altogether. The cohesiveness of the mask of the armor is cool. I guess if you want to go off like story significance, Vakama is really sort of the main character of the Metru. I think he does deserve to be number one, but again, these top three for me are interchangeable by the day. So I guess that's my list. Let me know if you agree, let me know if you disagree. Again, I'm not too precious on this one. The Metru are pretty similar, so you're kind of splitting hairs with them, but I think Vakama edges them out as the best one for the reasons listed. But yeah, feel free to disagree. Let me know your lists in the comments. Let me know which Toa team you want me to see next, or what you want me to see next. I don't just have to rank Toa. But yeah, I don't know how to wrap this one out. I'm gonna just keep cranking out these ones while I can to get you some content, while I'm tiding you over for the animation. It is coming. I know I keep saying it. My goal is end of the year. It'll end the year with a bang. And that's why I've been doing a lot of this other content for you, because, you know, historically this channel has just basically died if I'm not making little memes, just because animation takes time and life gets in the way, and I can make these on the fly. You know, that I made that last one in a hotel while I had some downtime between meetings, so it doesn't take that much effort on these. So if you guys want to continue appreciating the low effort content, in the meantime, it's not replacing the main content. The main content just takes a while. So thank you guys for watching, continuing your support. Let me know who you'd like to see next, and yeah, let me know what your ranking is yourselves. See you on the next one. Bye bye.